Okay, welcome everybody to our training today. So, a few things we're going to look at. I know you're seeing top 2015 Halloween trends on your screen. I'm just going to briefly comment on this. We're going to talk more in depth about this later. But this comes from the NRF, from National Retail Federation. This was last year's trends, which I just want to point out a couple of things, because now that we're late August, Halloween should be on our minds as retailers. So I just want to point out a couple of things as we do this. Let me actually bring this back a little bit. See if I can find the slide that I want to show you guys. There's a couple of slides here that just made sense that I wanted to bring up. I'm not going to go through all these slides. Let me find the one I like. This one. Okay, hopefully everybody can see this okay. It says cooler weather brings boom in Halloween shopping. It says 4 in 10 Americans begin shopping for Halloween within the first 2 weeks in October. So you'll see the little purple portion of the pie chart is at 41%. September is 28%. The last 2 weeks of October, 25%. And then you have this before September section, which is 6%. My wife is one of those 6%. She just bought a Halloween costume for my son just last week. And in my mind, I'm like, holy cow, it's August. It's mid-August. Why are we even thinking about Halloween? But there are a few shoppers that will look early. Okay, so 6% before. September has about a third of all of your shopping that takes place. And I would even argue a lot of that is decor, because a lot of Halloween decor people who are decorating for the holiday start that in early October. So can I just invite you guys who are thinking about trying to take advantage of Halloween in your eBay stores to really start loading up with product here shortly, because you're going to see 28% in September, 41% of shopping then is going to take place in the first 2 weeks of October. So between now and the first 2 weeks of October, that's almost 70% of all the shopping that happens. So you got to be on top of it. You got to be ready to go for all of September and then those first 2 weeks of October. Okay. Still a good chunk at the end, but you're missing most of the season if you do that. So how do you take advantage of it? We'll talk more about it later, but I just wanted to bring that to your mind if you're trying to figure out what you should do to prepare. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about today is just the general health of eBay. I actually spent a good portion of the last few weeks looking through their annual report and looking through some statistics just about eBay to see if there was anything I could find that I felt like could benefit me and you guys as I studied a little bit more about the company. The one thing you want to keep in mind is eBay's never been healthier, and I'm going to bring up a little stock chart here. This is going to show you the last, 17 years of eBay. And you'll notice the stock is currently trading at $31 a share. You'll notice a drastic decline here. Do you guys see that? Maybe I should draw that here. Might be easier if I circle this with a pen. So this is about mid-2015. They were trading up at the low 60s. And then that happened right there. This is eBay as a company, the value of their stock. Okay, so before that, this right here, that was the recession, right? Back in 2008, 2009. That's the recession there. Since then, all the stock has done is go up. Why the decline there in mid-2015? Does anybody know? And I'll explain why this matters here in just a sec. Didn't split, David. It did in a way. It did in a way. Stock didn't split, but a portion of their business split off from them. eBay at that time in mid-2015 still owned PayPal. That was actually a part of the company. But I'll tell you what, it dropped because they separated. Now PayPal is its own entity. So it doesn't mean eBay as a company is struggling, it just means that they split off that portion. So still, the stock's still trading around pretty historical highs. Um, and yes, Russell, I realize that actually I don't agree with what you said. You said that stock price really has nothing to do with the actual health of the company. I disagree completely. That I don't agree with. eBay's earnings and their projected forecasts affect stock price. And you know what earnings come from in the eBay business is sales, because they make most of their money off of sellers' fees. So I don't think you can say I don't think you can make a sweeping generalization that stock price has nothing to do with company health. That's just not true. I think on occasion it does. I think sometimes stock prices are inflated or deflated based on emotion and other trading factors, but I don't think it has nothing to do with it. In fact, I think eBay has steadily climbed because the e-commerce space has been really healthy over the last few years because more and more people are buying online. So I think there is some correlation there. As eBay's earnings increase, oftentimes so does their stock price, and earnings are directly related to sellers' sales. But there's been some problems, and I want to dig into that just a little bit. But I agree. That's fair. You say I agree with earnings and projected forecasts, but stock price is not a barometer by itself. Of course not. Nope, it certainly isn't. Reminds me of a company that I invested in years ago that I think at the time I bought it, it was like, I don't know, it was like $8 a share. But they were going through all kinds of issues. And there was some manipulation happening in the background that was stopping it from really falling, because stock prices can be manipulated for sure. And so anyway, the company really wasn't worth much. And in the end, long term, now that company is trading at like it's like on the pink sheets. It's like 2 cents a share. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I want to point this out because I actually had some people that were trying to directly correlate this loss in mid 2015 with eBay struggling a bit as a company, and that's just not necessarily true. That split there is because of PayPal splitting off. Okay, let me delete this. This isn't actually the main point of what we're talking about today, but I wanted to bring that up. We have an account with a statistical company that provides some pretty interesting stats on various companies, and actually had some interesting stats on eBay that I wanted to throw out there because there's a few things here that you'll learn. Can't remember why I brought this one up. Oh, yeah, let me read this real quick. So founded in 1995, eBay is a multinational e-commerce company that provides C2C, which is consumer-to-consumer online sales services. eBay's core business is its auction platform and shopping website. Okay, so that's the eBay as you know it, which people and businesses can buy and sell a large variety of products and services worldwide. The company's operations also include Buy It Now shopping services, as well as online classified advertisements, online event ticket trading. I'll bet some of you guys didn't know this, but StubHub, the big ticket company, is owned by eBay. Until September 2014, eBay was also the parent company to PayPal before the digital payment provider split into an independent company. The split was completed in July of 2015. So that's where this was from. Okay, so I want to come over here and I want to dig into some of the high-level stats that I was looking at, just trying to figure out more about just the overall health of eBay as a whole. And I want you guys to keep in mind something. Your business shouldn't sort of like rise and fall on eBay. There's been some complaints over the years from bigger sellers that where their sales on eBay have started to trail off a little bit, and it's really affected them. And it's like, well, I get that, but you should really diversify your business. eBay is just simply one platform to sell product on, right? You could be selling product on Amazon or your own website or Etsy or, right, some of these other big platforms that are out there. So I don't ever want to see anybody put all of their eggs in just the eBay basket. And hopefully, as part of this program, we're teaching you to diversify a little bit. But this graph right here is interesting. This is a distribution of eBay's total gross merchandise volume as of 2013. There's actually no stats newer than that that they've provided. You'll see, and I thought this was interesting, eBay's number one category for sales, guys, is home and garden stuff. They sell, the majority of their sales are home and garden. That would be like furniture, outdoor furniture, home decor, home furnishing, stuff for the garden. Then it's clothing and accessories. Parts and accessories, I believe, is for, I actually don't know what that category of product is. You've got vehicles. It might be related to vehicles because car parts and vehicle parts, it's a huge market on eBay. Computers, sports, cell phones, so on and so forth. This is the interesting one. I think we tell a lot of you guys that home decor, furniture, that type of stuff is a really good market. That's confirmed here. This is by far the biggest portion of eBay's total merchandise that gets sold, which I think is worth looking at. Yeah, I don't know, Greg. I can't speak to the oil price decline. I think that's been crazy. My brother actually works at an oil drill bit manufacturing company, and over the last few years, they've gone wave of layoffs because because the price of oil dropping. That's interesting, but I don't know as much about that market. Debbie, let me read your comment here. Excuse me. Debbie says, just a thought, not a question. In my opinion, I honestly think we are trending more towards an increase of consumers buying online versus going to brick and mortar retail store to buy what they're looking for. You're exactly right, and we're going to see that some numbers for that trend come out again around Black Friday. There's always news reports around the Black Friday time that talk about how brick and mortar stores sales are decreasing, whereas online sales continue to increase. It's been that way for like the past 10 years. So yeah, this is only getting bigger, which is why companies like eBay and Amazon as a whole are getting more and more valuable because people are spending more and more money online than they ever have before. This one I want to skip over for a sec. This is interesting, and this kind of goes to show what we're talking about here. This is the number of eBay's total active buyers from first quarter 2010 to second quarter 2016 in millions. Okay, so millions of active user accounts on eBay. You go back to 2010, and there were about 90 million active eBay users. As of the second quarter of 2016, you've got 164 million active users. So that speaks to your point, Debbie. There's more buyers on eBay than there ever has before. And you might make the argument, well, Amazon's much bigger, right? And they are. More people shop on Amazon than anywhere on the internet. But that doesn't reduce the fact that there are still 164 million active accounts as of that latest figure. So as far as like the likelihood of eBay doing well in the future and continuing, I mean, certainly the trends are in the right direction, which is why you can feel pretty comfortable continuing to build an eBay side of your business, because we don't foresee that going anywhere anytime soon. Let's move over to this one for just a second. Okay, this is one of the stats that was concerning. Okay, so this graph right here that you're looking at, this is the number of unique U.S. visitors to eBay from April 2011 to July 2015. And you'll notice 2011 up to about mid-2013, there was a peak in visitors. But then at that point, for whatever reason, there was a huge decline. Okay? And that was between the year, whatever, July 2013 clear till April of 15, we don't have any data that would show this data out here to the right. But there's a pretty significant decline in rankings. Now, I'd looked into why that was, and actually during that time, a few of my clients, and even I felt it to some extent, there wasn't as many sales happening during that time. It was a little harder to make sales, harder than it had been before. And what we later found out is that eBay had done something, and I'm not sure exactly what it was, but they had done something that actually upset Google, and it caused a lot of the eBay rankings in Google to drop. So eBay fell out of the first page of Google for a lot of keyword searches. If I go to Google and I'm looking for brown leather boots, and I do a search, a lot of times you'll see an eBay listing somewhere in the first or second page. So what happened is something happened with eBay's rankings, and they dropped, which is probably what explains the decline there. And they've later since addressed that, and I think their rankings had popped back up. But that's pretty significant, because a lot of the traffic that comes to eBay doesn't necessarily originate from somebody just typing in ebay.com, going to the homepage of eBay, and then doing a search. A lot of the traffic originates from somebody going to Google and looking for brown leather boots, and then seeing an eBay listing in Google and clicking on that listing. So there was a decline there, which I thought I'd share with you guys. Some of you older sellers may have felt that a little bit, but I haven't. Apparently, they've fixed a lot of that, and I think once we get more data on this, hopefully their numbers are going back up. I mean, still, they're getting millions and millions of views, but you never like to see a trend down like that. Okay, let me go over to this one for just a sec. There was also a decline in general customer satisfaction on eBay from about 2012 down to 2015. I'm not sure what that's due to. eBay's actually made a lot of policy changes over the last several years, just in terms of what sellers can do and how sellers are graded, and so there's been a decrease in customer satisfaction. That's probably partly why they're making all these changes to increase that, but I thought that was an interesting metric. One thing you can do to learn a lot about a company is you can read in their annual report. So every year there's an annual report that comes out. It's called the 10K of a company, right? And investors would look at something like this, because when you produce a 10K, you're doing it because you have to. It's something you file with the SEC, and all companies do this that are publicly traded, and they have a section of their site that I think is particularly interesting. It's the risk factors, and that's where the company has to lay out, in their opinion, what are some of the risks that are looming in the future for the health of the company. What things are concerning to eBay as a whole that may affect the value of the company going forward. And if you want to, I'm actually going to just put this link in the comment section here. I'm going to send this out to everybody. You'd be welcome to kind of read through this and see some of the commentary from eBay themselves as to what they're concerned about. I'm going to highlight just a couple of things for you with my red pen here. So anyway, I'm going to scroll through some of it, but this right here is one of their biggest concerns. They're concerned about a substantial and increasingly intense competition worldwide in e-commerce that may harm our business. And they actually point out a couple of companies that are, that are competitive with them. It says the businesses and markets in which we operate are intensely competitive. We currently and potentially compete with a wide variety of online and offline companies providing goods and services to consumers and merchants. The internet and mobile networks provide new, rapidly evolving, and intensely competitive channels for the sale of all types of goods and services. We compete in two-sided markets and must attract both buyers and sellers to use our platform. That's true, isn't it? eBay is a marketplace, so their job is to bring in lots of buyers, but they also want to attract sellers, because as a seller, you have options, right? You don't have to sell your product on eBay. Where else can you sell your product? You could probably sell it on Amazon, which is a little tougher to do, which is why we don't teach that early on. You could create your own little Etsy store and sell it there. You can make your own website. So eBay has to balance this where they attract sellers because they offer a really great opportunity for you to sell, but then they also are targeting buyers as well. They say we expect competition to continue to intensify. Online and offline businesses increasingly are competing with each other, and our competitors include a number of online and offline retailers with significant resources, larger user communities, and well-established brands. So they go on to talk about some of that. See if there's anything else here that I wanted to point out to you guys that I thought was interesting. This was interesting. Also, certain platform businesses such as Alibaba, Apple, Google, Facebook, many of whom are larger than us or have greater capitalization, have a dominant and secure position in other industries or certain significant markets. So anyway, a lot of you guys probably aren't interested in the details of this. I think it's fascinating. It talks a lot about just some of their concerns, right? They're worried that they've got these companies like Etsy that pop up, right? Or the ability to sell products on Facebook, and eBay still wants to be the big place that everybody goes to sell their stuff, new or used. And they're experiencing more competition in that than ever. But every company has risk factors. If you were to ever read a 10K, no matter what company, they're required to put in what their risks are, and then they address how they're going to compete in that marketplace. So this is interesting. If you want to read it, you can look it up. Go to investors.ebayinc.com and you can find the 10K there. Most of you guys probably don't care, right? Most of you guys are like, well, what does this have to do with me making money online? Well, every once in a while, you have to stop and take a look at what platform you're selling on. And I know a few of you that probably almost 100% of your revenue comes from your sales on eBay, and that's great. But I'd encourage you today, and this is hopefully one of the big takeaways that you get, is that eBay shouldn't be your only option here. There's a reason why we teach you to do affiliate websites, or that we teach you to do your own website, so that you're not stuck and hurting when eBay pisses off Google and loses some of their rankings, right? Because you're diversified. You have websites and other things that are helping you make money. And that's not to downplay eBay at all. I feel like the past couple of weeks we've talked about some negative things sort of revolving around eBay, but no, I mean, there's still plenty of opportunity, and there's a reason why we teach you guys early on to do it. But it's not without its weaknesses, so I want to make sure you guys diversify. All right? Okay, so I want to finish up. Just one more reminder for those of you guys who came in last. Will you please, 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 if you're going to take advantage of Halloween, will you think about it now? If you start thinking about it in October, you're too late. Now is the time to worry about Halloween. What kinds of products do you want to sell? We'll talk about that in another training here. Maybe we may even talk about that next week. But we're in the thick of the back to school season, but just right after that, Halloween hits. And in my experience with most of my clients, it's been in decor, Halloween decor. Certainly there's an opportunity in costumes, but that's a bit more competitive, and I feel like maybe a little bit tougher. Plus you deal with some returns when it comes to selling costumes. But that's a lot of what people buy. So costumes, decor. There's plenty of good suppliers out there. You can go out and find good retail drop shippers. You can start hunting now for good wholesale drop shippers using places like wholesalecentral.com or thomasnet.com, or even just using Google and searching there. You've got aliexpress.com. Good time to start finding good products for Halloween is right now. All right? Okay. I think we've talked to you guys long enough. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We will see you all next week for some more eBay training. Probably not as high level. We'll probably do some more technical stuff next week. But I thought this was particularly interesting, and thought we'd share some of the things we've been learning about as we've been researching eBay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you guys next time.